is Instagram not pushing it to more people? Why don't videos on TikTok go as viral, or why don't videos on Instagram go as viral as videos on TikTok? And I don't know.
It's our approach, I think. It's our approach. I find that so many people are so concerned with the way that they look, or as opposed to being on TikTok where it's kind of like a free-for-all. But like, because you're not concerned with those non-factors, so to speak, like the professionalism or the way you look, or and you just let it fly on TikTok, you're more likely to put something out that might be the thing.
Yeah. But I think, you know, I've tested this. I've posted the same exact content on TikTok and on Instagram. And for some reason, the reach on TikTok just naturally is exponentially larger than the reach on Instagram from what I found. So then
do you think that it's the exclusivity of the viral ability on Instagram? They sort of keep it locked in a boundary or a governor, so to speak, on your potential growth, unless you're an elite few. You know, we're talking about thousands and thousands of creators that are the elite few, but so to speak, that they make Instagram success a little bit more exclusive to keep the program sexy.
Yeah, I think you have to look at the motive behind the company, right? And I think TikTok and Instagram have or Meta, if you will, have two very different long-term goals. Actually, I think Instagram, Meta is more long-term focused than TikTok. This is why TikTok doesn't care if they spam you with ads, spam you with TikTok shop shit, part of my language, right? Where Instagram is focused on the long-term gain or long-term goals to maintain, you know, user engagement and to increase user engagement over the long term by nurturing relationships among its users. So it's not about just getting that quick pop in the pan and making it go viral to millions of people. It's about actually delivering content that's useful and engaging and people will find entertaining.
Do you think that when you try to transfer the audience with whether it's be a CTA or a caption reading, like redirecting individuals to another app or to a sale, to a website, do you think that that's automatically suppressed in the algorithm?
For sure. I mean, even if I have a call to action where I say, you know, click the link in my bio to grab this free product, whatever it is, free lead magnet, I will often not type out click the link in my bio, or instead of using, you know, an L like CLINK, I'll do like a capital I. So it looks like, you know, click, but it's actually CIICK, right? So that, I don't know, maybe that doesn't work, but I think kind of masking those call to actions is important because all these platforms, regardless of their long-term or short-term goals, they want to keep you on the platform as long as possible at any given, you know, time that you sign on to that app. And so user engagement, the longer it is, the more money those companies make. So anytime you direct them outside of the app, they don't like that. And actually TikTok just changed this. They used to have a separate button that they would allow you to activate on top of your profile for Instagram. They removed that. And now your Instagram link is automatically put in as a normal link. And I think they did that to reduce the ease at which someone could just click away and go to, you know, Instagram and off their platform.
And of course, like you said, there's motives to these certain angles, and it might not necessarily be that the social media platforms don't want you to make money. They know that you are that the people who do it right are monetizing the platform. But like you said, their goal is to keep people on the app because that's how they increase their advertising dollars and unit base or whatever. So they're not mad that you're monetizing the platform elsewhere, but they are trying to just retain retention on the app. So
this is why lives are so popular. You know, everybody always asks me, like, Anthony, how'd you get 1 million followers, right? And it's easy for me to kind of give the formula away now in hindsight, but it was like a lot of trial and error. And one of the things I learned, if I could give away one secret for going viral, it's to go live immediately after you post a video or a piece of content. Because once again, they want to keep you on the app. They want to keep viewers on the app. And so if you post a piece of content, that's more likely to get initial traction because you just posted it, right? The algorithm rewards consistency and how soon something was posted, right? This is why things fizzle off, is because the engagement will be higher. It'll get shown to more people right after you post it. And then when you post it, if you go live, what happens is now, because you have higher reach with that video you just posted, it also shows that you're live, right? Because it circles your profile picture on that video and says live on it. People are more likely to click that, which means they're more likely to stay on the app. And people are naturally inclined to stay on lives more because of the nature of, the live engagement and the more personal feel. So it's all a game. You got to ask yourself, what's going to keep someone watching my videos the longest, and what's going to keep them on this app the longest, right? So you need to keep TikTok's motives in mind when you're trying to figure out your own motives or Instagram's motives.
And that almost sells itself as level 2, because being that our level 1 agreed upon level 1 is like your content program, your language, your creative direction. Mm-hmm. And then the mode of operation is what we're speaking to now, which is once you have your voice and your strategy, what functions of the algorithmic viral universe are going to serve me to actually be able to spread my message, instead of just having this sort of goal of vanity metrics. It's like, no, let's actually play through this program. Once I have something that's valuable and worth someone's attention, now I need to figure out, right? So many people who are a client that walks in the door are like, well, I'm not going viral, or my views are going down, or they're staying at 1,200 to 2,000 views per reel. And it's like, yeah, because you haven't refined your voice yet. Mm-hmm. And what kind of value are you bringing? Like, if I can go listen to, why would I want to tune into your entertainment podcast when I have 1,000 other entertainment podcasts that are the steak to your burger, so to speak, mm-hmm. right? And it's always free. There's always a $0 barrier to entry. Yeah. So,
I mean, the other thing too is hook. We talk about this all the time. This is why Alex Hormozy says that he spends 90% of his time on the hook, the first 3 seconds of a video. And so that was something I learned from going from 0 followers to 1 million followers in less than a year, was I had to get people's attention to keep their attention. So your motive is to keep their attention, right? Or that's the goal, but your first goal has to be to get their attention in the first place. And I always say, people don't care who we are. I've said this a million times to different people I've coached. Like, people don't care who you are. Stop telling people who you are in your videos, right? And just start telling people what this video is going to do for them, right? Get their attention, and then give them the step-by-step or the story or the experience that will then keep their attention and make them coming back for more.
Yeah, it's the same as a thumbnail on YouTube, mm-hmm. right? People in the beginning, when they start a podcast or a show or a series or a vlog, they're so inclined to want to have their name and their name of their show on there, in the title and in the thumbnail. Yeah. And you don't think through it until you've done it quite a bit, where it's like, well, if you think about it, anytime anyone is going to be able to have the opportunity to engage with my video, the name of my YouTube channel is always already there. Yeah. And so it just puts more emphasis on the hook or the title or whatever the lead capture is, the catchiness, the first thing that they engage with, the opportunity for them to engage. It's not about who you are and the credit. Yeah. So many times, like in music, I'll relate it back to music. Like, you'll have the title of the song. They'll put up and coming artists will put the title of the song with parentheses, like produced by the producer. And it's like, unless it's produced by Mustard, it's like, that's not actually doing anything for their song to get heard. Yeah. So same thing with titles and thumbnails. You don't need your fucking name on there unless you have a name. And if someone cares enough to engage, they're going to find out your name.
Yeah. It's like, and the thing is too, is your hook in a video is like the subject line of an email. You are going to be more likely to open an email with a good subject line. And so someone's going to be more likely to watch your video with a good 3-second hook. And now there's multiple elements to a hook though. There's the spoken hook. There's the visual hook, like what you're doing in the video right away. And then there's the text hook, what's at the top of the screen, what's in your caption that people can see. Are you enticing them to read more through that caption? Are you enticing them with a call to action to follow you, to go to the next video? I'm giving away all the secrets here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I used to do and still do is I like to create multiple part videos, meaning I'll create one video for part 1 and I'll say, hey, make sure you stick around or make sure you go to my page to check out part 2. So now I cut up one piece of content into 2 videos. So now they have to navigate to my page. Once again, builds engagement. Sound like a broken record here, but that's the most important thing is your motives have to align with the platform's motives. And you will be the most successful if you can do that. I'm literally the world's most hated hypnotist because I just created a way so that you never have to spend $1,000 again on coaches, courses, or more self-help books. In fact, I just created my very own Hypnosis app where you can literally have me in your back pocket to help you lose weight faster, make more money, and make your success inevitable. I've combined ancient wisdom and modern day neuroscience to create this app where you can literally reprogram your own subconscious mind for success. To get started today, click the link below and grab your free 7-day trial. I'll see you on the inside.
This is a social media masterclass.
Yeah.
For real. And like, talk to me about other kind of like quick hits of like little tips and tricks, because I know you talk about breaking pattern.
Pattern interrupts,
Yeah. And like the constant right? We are in the consumer economy and information land online, and you have to be constantly evolving with the constant effect of our brain, and you're speaking to people's natural instincts of how to actually capture attention, and it's always changing and shifting. So talk about like pattern interrupt, and then maybe like 1 or 2 other like quick terminologies for social media success.
Yeah, so I'm actually building out a little mini course right now for how to go viral. And I know we've talked about this off camera, is like, trying to create a live experience where people, we can teach people, in a live format, like, you and I on stage, and, you as far as the production and the quality, me as far as the mindset and some of the tactical things. Cause I've learned a lot, and I sometimes I have to remind myself that, I have learned a thing or two, and I have to pat myself on the back, even though I don't like to, but I'm like, it took a lot of work to get to 1 million followers. A lot of the times I joke and I say, oh, I got lucky. In a lot of ways I did get lucky, right? I had an idea at a time and a video took off, and then I was just kind of intuitive with it, and then I iterated. And so what I'm trying to create now, and, workshop this in my own mind, is kind of like this viral hierarchy of like what matters most to go viral. And I'll tell you what that hierarchy is in a moment, which is a call to action to keep watching, right? That's a tactic in your videos. Like, hey, I'll get, here are the 3 steps to going viral. You're going to want to stick around for step 3 because it's the best one. You probably haven't heard it yet. But first, step 1 is blank. So a little nuance that viral creators do really well is, and utilize, is call to actions to keep watching that are not direct. Sometimes they're direct call to actions like, oh, make sure you stick around to the end of the video because XYZ, because I'm going to give you the best tip or whatever it is. So keeping people watching the video. But this hierarchy of going viral is directly what I think inverse to the hierarchy of monetizing the content, which is interesting, right? Meaning, I think one of the most important things above quality, above strategy, above story for going viral is consistency. I've seen time and time again that the more content and the more consistent you are with content, the more likely you are to go viral. So to me, in this, I have to hash this out a little better, is to me, the foundational element to going viral is consistency and the amount of content that you're being consistent with. Right above that is your strategy, right? And so this incorporates, okay, how do you formulate that video, hooks, call to actions, etc. The next thing above that, that's less important for going viral, is the story, right? The actual content and the story. And then above that, which I'm going to trigger you a little bit, is the quality, right?
Okay.
But in order to monetize the content, you got to flip that on its head. Now what becomes most important is the quality, then the story, then the strategy, and then the consistency. Now they're all important, right? But if you're it depends on what you're focusing on.
Wow.
Yeah. I should have charged for that. We might have to clip that out.
Damn. So I know that content is affecting our worldview, like our sort of like group brain. And I think there's probably a lot of psychology that plays into this, but do you think to a certain extent there is various entities or government structures or sort of corporate entities that are sort of in one way or another hypnotizing everybody to believe certain things or to always know certain things. This could be news media, this could be government, this could be corporations, this could be television, right? School. Do you think there's sort of, and is this I don't know if it's a conspiracy angle, but do you think that we are sort of under a group hypnosis? Is there things that we all know? We just know. We don't know why we know.
Yeah. We are certainly all being hypnotized all the time. It's influence, right? My job as a coach and a hypnotist is to influence this. My job as a coach and a hypnotist is to influence someone's mind. Really, I'm a merchant of belief. That's what I like to call myself. And I have to influence someone's mind at a neurological level so that they can shift their beliefs, because their beliefs inform their behaviors and their behaviors inform their outcomes, right? And so this is what marketing does. This is what social media does. Their goal is to influence us to do what they want us to do. So TikTok, the way they design their platform is to influence us, to hypnotize us into staying on the platform. Coca-Cola, their motive is to hypnotize us in order to influence us to buy. So, most people don't use the word hypnosis synonymously with influence, right? But it is. And, influence can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Hypnosis can be used for good, can be used for bad, just like anything else, like money, right? Yeah. And so we are under this kind of mass hypnosis, and you got to be very careful with what you're consuming. You got to make sure you control your thoughts. You got to control what you're consuming, because the more you focus on, and I think we talked about this in last week or the week before, is what you consume, you will ultimately start modeling it some way, even if it's just modeling via your emotions and maybe not just your actions. But if you watch a lot of fear-based content or tragedy-based content, you're probably going to be a little more anxious and stressed unconsciously, And so I personally I don't think, and I bet there's research on this, we're not designed to have caught up with the amount of information that we have access to from a neurological perspective. Like, we're not meant to know about the tragedies in other countries and the wars and the famines and the murders and all the other bad stuff that happens. We're not capable, neurologically speaking, of processing that much information from a negative perspective, because it's influencing us. I mean, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, how did most people get their information? In a newspaper. And you could only consume so much in one sitting. You can't tell me that our brains have evolved enough in the past 60 years, along with the evolution of the speed of technology and information, dissemination.
Do you think that it's information overload, or are we becoming sort of shadows of the human experience in our desensitization of like trauma and dramatic event?
I think it's both. I think that's why it's so dangerous, because you have the amount of content that you're consuming, and then you have the type of content that you're consuming. And you're being bombarded with negative, tragedy, fear-based content where I don't think we're meant to consume that. I don't think we were designed as a human species to constantly be taking in images of people getting killed and beaten up and all these bad things that are happening. It was just like today, we were just talking about before, is the United Healthcare CEO that got literally assassinated, and instantly all over TMZ and the internet and social media is a video of him getting shot, and you see it. Now, you don't see his brains getting blown out everywhere, but you still see a gunman, and we look at that as natural as we react to now a movie or a video game. It's insane.
Do you think that in a certain way, just for the sake of the debate, like, I do have the willpower to control what I consume. So to a certain extent,
do you?
Well, that's the question. Is my content feed, and think about the way that it's called feed. Yeah. Is my content feed a reflection of my interest? Yeah. Right? Gary Vee just called it the interest media instead of the social media, thinking that the phrase social media needs a sort of like rebrand to speak to what it actually does. So am I actually do I have willpower? Am I a victim of my interest? And where is it a chicken and the egg situation? Where is my interest informing my algorithm, or is the algorithm informing my interest?
Yeah.
And then right? So is
It's
it
a
my
vicious
fault?
cycle.
Yeah. To a certain extent, is it too far gone? Is it my fault? Or is it the corporate, government, news, media, conspiracy's fault?
So it's definitely the corporation's fault, the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes fault, right?
Yeah.
Because once again, I sound like a broken record, but their goal is to keep us on the platform as long as possible, right? And so how do you keep someone watching something? You keep their interest. So if you know what they're interested in based on their watch time and other videos, well, if they can do their best to optimize you seeing more of that content that you already told them is interesting to you, well, now they're going to keep your attention. And these platforms have gotten so good at doing this that the videos that are in your feed when you're swiping through TikTok, they change based on how long you watched the video before it. So it's not a set thing when your thing loads. The video right below a video that you just watched will change based on how long you've watched that video before. So if let's say originally when you load TikTok, it's like an entrepreneur video, a tennis video, and then like, I don't know, a cat video, right? So you watch the entrepreneur video for like 2 seconds, you swipe by, you go to the tennis video and you watch the whole thing for a minute. That cat video now turns to another tennis video, and so on and so forth.
I sometimes sense myself knowing that and hoping that the algorithm will treat me to what I like next.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I'm staying on this one and I watched it 3 times in a row, whether it's like someone talking about funny history or it's a cool content creator talking about a really cool tip or trick for social media. I'm like hoping that the next video is going to speak to that because I like it, right?
But it's eerie how accurate it is sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like you'll come across a niche or an industry type of video that you've never watched before, and you watch the full thing because it's interesting, and then all of a sudden the next 2 or 3 videos are like that, and you're like, this wasn't part of my algorithm, but now it is because you told the algorithm that you're interested in it, you know? And to circle back real quick to the we talked about kind of some secrets or tips to going viral. I have been influenced by the way music artists get their videos or get their songs out there. One of the things, and you probably know this, is the way they title some of their songs is based on the most catchy part of their song, right? Because they realize that people don't search for the name of the song, they search for the lyric that they remember, right? And so they'll make that lyric the title of the song so that when people search it, they find the song easier, right? And so that's how I look at my videos. I will title my videos, I'll put my captions in my videos focused on SEO. What is someone actually going to search for? Not what I want to title it, not my fancy coaching language, but what's the everyday Joe when he wants to get unstuck, or he's feeling anxious, or he wants to increase his confidence, or he wants to lose weight. What is he actually searching in Google or in the TikTok search bar so that I can be one of the first to pop up?
Yeah, because Instagram and TikTok are after Google, the largest search engines on the internet. And I've been talking about this for 5 years too. Like, no one's going to know you by your name and occupation. They're going to know you for like, oh, that guy with the mustache who makes hypnosis videos. Like, so, and it's as for a long period of your career, that's what you're going to be known for. So being able to take advantage of that is huge. Like, no one remembers your name. They remember whether you had a cute dog or like what you said was funny. So yeah, speaking directly to that is probably part of the hack in the algorithm too. Yeah. And
also, speaking of hypnotizing people through content, is consistency in your delivery and quality is also important too. And this could be something as simple as you mentioned my mustache, and this is what brought it to mind, is, someone wears a particular pair of glasses, right? Something bulky. Or maybe they do have a specific characteristic with their hair or something, and that becomes their brand because that's the most consistent thing that now becomes top of mind when someone's scrolling by.
Yeah, like you told me the other day, you're like, you don't have a brand if someone can't dress like you for Halloween.
Yeah.
That's prolific though. Think about it, because it goes deeper than just your face, like your face, your voice, your outfit, your set, your vibe, where you are, your tone, your language, your delivery. These are all part of your brand. People just think like my brand deck, my caption style, my font, my color. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. My logo for sure. But
so there's actually 2 things, speaking of this, that I I do my own practical manifestation process. I know I don't talk about manifestation a lot because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And, I'm a big advocate for action, right? And hard work. Success comes dressed in overalls and looks a lot like hard work, right? So, I personally believe that if you want to manifest something, you can't spell attraction without action. And so you have to take action towards your manifestation, towards your goals. And one of the things though that you need to do is you got to kind of program your brain with the end result in mind so that it doesn't seem so scary unconsciously, right? And so I kind of play with this. And the reason I bring this up is because you mentioned, if someone can't dress up as you as Halloween, you haven't branded yourself well enough, right? What is one of the most entertaining videos that we often see in like the comedic world as far as what catches our attention? It's a lot of impressions, right? Many people find impressions really funny because it's something that's funny related to something they're familiar with, right? And someone they're familiar with. And so one of the things I've kind of always set my mind on, two things really, is one, I kind of visualize someone asking me for my signature, right? That would tell me I've gotten to a point where I've made it from a traditional success business standpoint. Is like someone comes up to me on the street and like, hey man, right? And I had that when I was in Vegas, not a signature, but a girl came up to me last year and she's like, are you the dude from TikTok? No, actually, no, let me tell you this, that's what she said second. So I'm sitting in a restaurant in Vegas at the Horseshoe Casino and I'm there with a couple of buddies of mine. And this hostess is like looking at me weird, right? And so I didn't think anything of it. And I end up going to the bathroom. I get up to go to the bathroom and I'm walking back to the table and she goes, are you Anthony? And I for some reason, I thought something bad happened because I wasn't to the point, I'd gotten a lot of followers on social media, but no one had ever recognized me out. So I thought, oh, she must know I'm staying here. She's looking for me. She's trying to get a hold of me because someone else is, I don't know. I just thought something bad. And I said, yeah. She goes, oh, you're the guy on TikTok that does hypnosis, right? And I go, yeah. She's like, oh, I've been following you for so long. Like you changed my life, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I was like so honored by that. I asked her, I was like, can I take a picture with you? Cause I want to like remember this, So it was like both cool and eerie. Cause then I'm like, what if I was like picking my nose or something and, people are watching,
That's interesting. Man.
Familiarity. So the signature, that's one of the things I kind of put myself in the future is like people ask me for my signature being worth something. Because what do we do when we see a celebrity or someone well known? We want their signature, right? The other thing is someone impersonating me. Like if I can get to the point, even if they're making fun of me, that they're able to impersonate my voice or my look or my mannerisms, like I've probably made it to some extent,
Yeah, I mean, and you've spoken enough, you've written enough and spoken enough and recorded enough that, and you do have a characteristic voice.
Sometimes it sounds like I've heard someone put it there like, you sound like Tony Robbins and Kermit the Frog had a child. I love how you're about to say Kermit the Frog without me saying it. That's messed up.
Because you've said it to me 1,000 times. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Like the most notable rap artists and politicians of the world have unique voices. Voice is huge.
So that's why so many people are trying to
be something
replicate other people. And it's interesting because here we are talking about here's the formula that you have to follow to go viral. Here's what I did to go viral. But authenticity is very often what comes first for people. Now you can replicate things to go viral and kind of have that algorithm, if you will, or that formula to do so. But if you're a funny person or you have a unique characteristic about you in some way, your personality, even a physical characteristically, you got to use that to your advantage. Okay.
So then so speak to that. So, cause I mean, listen, authenticity is definitely going to end up going hand in hand with consistency just naturally because you can't fake it for that long. But and why do certain people have what seems like overnight success? Why do certain people have that iconic level of success when maybe it seems like it's so hard for me? It seems like I'm slamming my head against the wall. It seems like I'm throwing shit at the wall and it just doesn't stick. Why is it so easy for other people to do that seemingly?
I think because people don't see the grind. They don't see the build, right? It's like, how many times have we seen a house or a commercial property getting built in our neighborhood or our town? And we're like, oh, that went up overnight. But if you really look back, like it was like 2 or 3 years of them building it and workers there and things going wrong, but you're not there every day. You're not paying attention to it while it's just being built. Maybe you notice it here and there, but you notice the finished product. And it seems like it went up overnight. It seems like it was so easy, but you missed, the millions of dollars and the manpower and all that went into it and the time. Same thing with social media. What's interesting is I kind of had overnight success on social media from like a viral standpoint, because I went viral in the first month that I started posting. So to me, that's like an overnight success, but it came with the knowledge and experience that I had in business and in marketing over the years, because I had other businesses and I had done it before, and I applied my understanding in marketing to my social media content when I got on TikTok, which allowed me to become that overnight success. So it was years of preparation and learning and failure before that allowed me to have that and seize that opportunity of overnight success, if you will. So, yeah, I don't know. It was, like I said, I got lucky in a lot of ways. It was also my ability to seize opportunity. I have very high tolerance for risk. I'm all in all the time. Right? You tell me something, Anthony, you got to try this thing, and I think it's going to work for you. It's going to help your business. I'll do it. I don't care. And it might be a bad decision, but I know that I'm going to learn from it. And I think people are really scared to fail. There's a lot of fear of failure out there. So people are non-starters, right? They know they have to get on social media. They know they have to create more content if they want to make more money, but something inside of them is like, I don't really know what I'm doing. No one wants to hear what I'm saying, right? Only 100 people are going to watch this video or whatever, right? The word only is the worst word you can have in your vocabulary. People say, I only had 100 views. Okay, well, if you had 100 people standing in your living room listening to you right now, you'd probably think that's a lot of people, Or, I only made $150. Right? Like, you're just telling yourself, and if you believe in God or the universe, whatever you believe in, like, you're just screaming like scarcity and lack, and you're going to get more of that.
And basically lying to themselves by setting goals and not doing the work to drive it home.
Yeah.
And I think that's like what separates you from someone who feels like they're not making it on social media. Like, I keep doing it, and it's not working for me. Then they quit. Well, if you just you never know how many steps you are away from like that success that whatever you envision it to be. And success looks different for everybody, right? That's why I speak to, various entrepreneurs and celebrities about what their secrets of success are. That's why I love talking to you about it. But it's different for everybody. So, I'm a big believer in like understanding what someone's unique perspective on success might mean. And especially today in the social media world, you're a perfect example of like, it hasn't necessarily been done that much. It's not like there's been hundreds of thousands of, people who have went to school to become an accountant, became an accountant, got tenured or whatever, became partner as a lawyer, and then have their retirement set up, and then bought their second home, and like that's like sort of like a standard model for what it means to be successful in a corporate way. But like for internet celebrity, like it's completely different. It's really the wild, wild west. So it's like, okay, cool. Like you're gonna have a level of success by posting on TikTok. And then boom, now you have a brand you need to do something with. So you need to know what it's going to be. Is it going to be a podcast? Is it going to be an online community on Hormozi's school or on Kajabi or on your own kind of in-person community where you host meetings with people or Zoom calls? And then how do you convert those people? How do you actually provide value? Then it's live events, speaking engagements, virtual courses, coaching people one-to-one, and writing a book and being a speaker. And it's like that can take shape in so many different ways.
Yeah.
That like, what is your meaning of success? Like, what does it mean to have made it? People would look at you and say, Serino, you made it.
Yeah.
Like you have a house, you have a wife, you have a G-Wagon, you have a dog, you produce content on a consistent basis, you have a bank account, like you have your work, your 9-to-5 work is sort of cut out for you. You made it. But to you, and it's all relative to you, you're looking at them like, I haven't even gotten started. I'm just getting started. And that's what I recreate myself every single day, because I walk in the room here and like, I'm never fulfilled, but it's a good thing because I am very creative. I want to keep creating and upping the ante and resetting the bar every single day. And that's sort of like what the definition of creator is. Like, think about like the great creator of our earth, of our world, of our conscious, of our universe. Everything is a recreation. Like through the creation is like every day is new life,
Yeah.
whether from a piece of bacteria to like a bird, to a squirrel, to a dog, to a human. New life and recirculating life is essentially recreating yourself every day when you're creating content.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole, name of the game is creation. We're talking about creating content, creating offers, and your ability to earn money is going to be directly proportionate with your ability to create offers, right? So if you can create an offer and you can create, even if you can't nail it the first time, money loves speed. Success loves speed. That's one thing I've been really blessed at. I don't know why. I've just always had this ability to like execute very quickly. Now, sure, there was a time in my life, part of my story, where I was fat, suicidal, and broke, as I tell people, right? That was a very real, like 4 or 5 year span of my existence where I was not executing. And that's where most people get stuck. That's where people get depressed, right? Depression, I'm not a medical professional, but a lot of times depression manifests out of frustration, right? So people make promises to themselves. They set goals for themselves. And then year after year, they stay stuck. And they realize they can't get out of that hamster wheel. They start getting really frustrated. They start realizing that, oh shit, I don't know what the solution is. And now they feel stuck because they literally are stuck in the form of not taking action. They're paralyzed. And that frustration turns into depression because the mind and the body and the nervous system goes, oh, we don't know what to do with you. So we're just going to put you in this depressive state. And so one of the best things for people to get out of that depressive state and anxious state is to make a conscious decision that, sure, things suck right now, but I'm going to make a plan. I'm going to have a duration, path, and outcome of how I'm going to get out of this. Even if I don't know for certain it's going to work out like this, here's what I want out of life, getting crystal clear on the outcome. What are maybe the 2 or 3 steps I think I can do to get to that outcome? And then over what timeline do I think that's going to happen? And so what's interesting is it's very often a practical and somewhat simple solution to combat things like depression and anxiety. Now, that's not to say medication isn't important. Once again, I'm not a medical professional, but I was depressed. There was many times that I wanted to take my own life. And the only thing that got me out of that was focusing on my mindset and having clarity on what I actually wanted out of life and what I needed to do to get it.
You're really good at compartmentalizing like steps of process to be able to like make it seem not so cumbersome or like overwhelming to take steps. Like you're a very action man, and like you said, like speed loves success, or success loves speed. But I think it's interesting. So, okay, I want to unpack this a little bit. Let's say we're speaking to the population of people who are like there's people who are clinically depressed. There's people who are severely mentally ill, manic, depressive, and there's a whole suite of mental illness. But the numbers have dramatically increased. Like scientifically, not everyone who is depressed, even though all pain is relative to me. So let's not speak to the clinically depressed, the schizophrenic, the manic, the bipolar, and speak to like the general population of people who feel depression. Would you say that it's not necessarily chemistry based, but it's actually based in it's sort of acquired?
Yeah, it is acquired. So inevitably it is chemical based, right? There's a chemical reaction that happens for every neurological response or habit or thought or feeling that we have. Okay. But I think usually it's initiated out of circumstance and out of decision. Like for example, and I've been very open about this. My uncle, who was like a father figure to me, he hung himself in my grandmother's garage when I was 20 years old. And I got the call while I was up at college. And up until that point, before he actually took his own life, he had tried multiple times before. And his situation, his circumstance was once again came out of frustration, because what ended up happening was he got fired from IBM there was something where there was some like social injustice that was going on at IBM, and he stood up for the guy that was being wrongfully, harassed or whatever it was. And he ended up getting fired for it. And the issue is my uncle was a hothead, right? He had some anger issues. After he got fired, it amplified his frustration and his anger and his irritability. He got in a road rage incident. He got out of his car. The person had their window open, and he punched the dude in his face and broke his nose. So now he got fired. He ended up getting arrested for punching this guy in the face, right? His own decision, his own anger, right? But now he couldn't get another job because
assault charge.
Yeah, because he had this case going on, and so the frustration built, and he got to a point where he's like, I don't know how to get out of this. And ultimately he got so depressed and got to such a state where he was chained by the decision he had already made and the decisions he already made, where he felt like the only way out was to, take his own life. And obviously we know in hindsight, people have survived suicide attempts and jumping off bridges. They'll tell you that they instantly regretted it and had a moment of clarity where like, oh no, there is hope. I can get out of this. This isn't the end. And I was, the one thing I'll say about this is you got to ask yourself, what is really the worst case scenario? People are like, oh, I don't have a job. Okay. You claim bankruptcy, you got to go work at McDonald's. You got to go wait tables. Like, when people really look at the worst case scenario, it's usually not that bad.
Well, it plays back to sort of our worldview and who we're constantly comparing ourselves to, and that does trigger a little bit of that. But you're basically saying that depression is sort of a circumstantial chemical reaction in the brain.
Yeah, I think it is our fault to an extent. I'm a firm believer that you make your bed, you have to lie in it. Now, a lot of your behaviors are influenced by your beliefs, as we often talk about, and those beliefs are often informed and learned because of what happened to us as children. So it is this vicious cycle, and this is why we talk about like generational curses and generational trauma, is because your parents often pass on their bad programming to you, and then your bad programming puts you into a situation where now you are super frustrated. There's seemingly no way out. And so then you get frustrated and depressed and anxious and on it goes. And,
Yeah, but how could you say at the same time that I inherited my negativity is also the same time that I'm a personal I have to be personally accountable to, sleep in the bed that I made.
Yeah. Well, it's once you know that you can change, once you have the awareness, right? Now you are responsible. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, anybody who's watching this right now, you're now responsible. Like, it's now your fault. If you don't change, and that's as simple as it is, the awareness. Now, there are people who are going through life and they have no awareness about mindset. They have no awareness that they can change. They have no awareness of where their problems are coming from and that there's a way out. And of course, they're going to stay stuck in that. And that's why we see so many people stuck in their shit,
Isn't it so amazing to realize, and more than anyone because you touch the masses on a regular basis, thousands of people on your Hypnosis live videos. Like maybe I'm in my bubble so much, even though I feel like I talk to a lot of different people, different demographics of entrepreneurs and young people come do content here, older people. I talk to business owners. I do a lot of coaching, so to speak, on how people can really refine their business model. But when I step out into the world and I notice that people are, as you mentioned, sort of not in touch with the mindset required to succeed or to get unstuck. Doesn't it feel like it's a sickness out there?
Yeah. And that's why you got to audit your circle, your environment. You can change your environment and that'll change your mindset. That'll have an influence on your,
does it? 'Cause everywhere I go, there I am,
It's true, but there's no doubt that if you're around positive people all the time, it's going to have an influence on you. And I'm a big believer. This is a little triggering for people, but I firmly believe people should be firing their friends. Right? Like, seriously, there's friends you shouldn't be friends with. It's tough because you've been friends with them since you were a kid. But if they're kind of reflecting back at you and they're acting the same way and they're kind of just like stuck in the mud and they're not really getting out of their own way and they talk negatively, it's not someone you want to be around. And it goes with family too. I'm a big believer that, you don't have to share time with people you share DNA with. And now,
that's really hard for people.
It's very hard with people.
It's very hard because it's sort of there's an unconditional love aspect, and then the crossing the line to sort of abolish that unconditional love can be the most vile or violent of actions.
But real quick, sometimes loving someone means loving them enough to let them, meet their own demise and hit rock bottom without you being there. Because very often we unconsciously enable people. There's certain people in my life who have been in my life where I realized it actually was a blessing for them, for me to step out of their life and for us to disconnect. And not saying, oh, holy is me and righteous is me and I'm so much better. But what I was actually doing was enabling them by constantly like listening to their bullshit and constantly being like that sounding board for them that, sure, I want to be there for people and I will actively give my friends advice, but there also comes a point where like I don't want to enable them because some people get off by talking about their drama, by talking about their problems. And so you gotta be careful with that.
It's got to be a big balance for you because it's sort of, on one hand, it's sort of your job to carry people's emotional baggage. And on the other side, it's like, I've addressed this with you before. It's like, I can't imagine how often people come to you and want to sort of trauma dump on you, which is sort of a toxic trait of people, right? To trauma dump and like just like load you up on it, especially people who are empathetic like you and understand and try to really relate to people and are very open. Like you're very open, you know? I don't know what the haters say about you because I don't pay attention to it, but you know, if anything, you're very vulnerable all the time, you know? Sharing your story. The second I first learned about your story, I was like, wow, this guy's fucking putting it all there. I have stories that I am unwilling to share. And sometimes I think back and I'm like, wow, like if I talked about the certain things that went on in my life, like with my past trauma, like it might be like the thing that goes, you know, that people really like gravitate to, but I don't feel I'm at the point in my success to be able to like talk about that, especially since my business is so dependent on the relationships with other people, professionals. But yeah, like, I do think I think if we wanted to circle back to the sort of content piece related to trauma, it's the TikTok in particular is rewarding of trauma. And this sort of like circles back to the beginning, which is like, you know, playing to the algorithm and what kind of content you want to be. And maybe this speaks to, you know, fame for the wrong reasons but like, how many TikToks have you seen of a girl crying? I just got dumped, or my boyfriend cheated on me, or like people from prison coming on TikTok and sharing their stories and that shit going super viral because we're attracted to that, you know, head turn syndrome, right? When you see a car crash, you always want to look at it, but it's rewarding that behavior. So for people to be talking about being on antidepressants or talking about assault and abuse and trauma and victim mentality, and personalizing, it's just like, it's rewarded. So it's making a toxic culture.
Yeah. You can either be a victim or a victor, right? And I found that life is a lot easier when you take on the victor mentality, you know? And I could say so many things that would trigger a lot of people, but you know, as a former fat guy, right? And someone I could still stand to lose a few pounds, right? I still haven't gotten to my peak physical self yet.
Okay, but you look great.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. But I'm also, you know, I realize that when I talk about health and fitness, I'm not the epitome of health, like some big jacked dude, but people also have to understand I've lost almost 100 pounds in my past. So I know a thing or two about kind of improving physiologically. But the reason I bring this up is because it's like we celebrate being overweight now. Like it's like we're so tolerant of unhealthy people. And I get that some people have genuine health disorders, thyroid issues, but a lot of times those thyroid issues and health issues came because of their bad eating habits that they now have fallen into something that's really seriously a disease or a physiological ailment. But we're too like body positive. Like it's one thing to be body positive about something that is completely natural for people. Cellulite for women, rolls on people, everybody, even very lean people have rolls when they sit a certain way, right?
Yeah.
So it's like perfection has become the standard, right? Or if you're not perfect, oh, it's okay. You can be 50 pounds overweight, right? Like it's just, to me, that drives me nuts because even me, like I get down on myself now still because I have so many irons in the fire. I'm so busy all the time. And this is obviously a story I'm telling myself. It is true though. It's like, if you chase two rabbits, you catch neither. I should have that on my headstone when I die because I say it so often, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm chasing monetary success. I'm trying to also at the same time, you know, be in my faith and my relationship with God. And I know that those two things are inherently disconnected with each other. Then at the same time, trying to harbor my relationships and my marriage, and then also try to lose weight and go to the gym. Like, it's tough, right? And you gotta oscillate in these different seasons of your life. And right now I'm in a season of my business, season also with always in the season of my faith. But right now my business and developing the systems like for the MINDMOD app and for social media content, that takes precedent over like going to the gym. And sometimes it's hard to plan eating and things like that. So the reason I bring this up is because it's not that I don't have sympathy for people who are struggling with their weight, but one of the worst things that's ever happened to me on my weight loss journey is people complimenting me before I got to where I wanted to be. Even to this day, if someone compliments me, people will think I'm like a dick if I don't respond the right way, or like, oh, you don't take compliments well. It's no, because I know how influential that is to me, because if they compliment me before I get to where I want to be, I'll get complacent. Be like, oh, well, someone complimented, so I'm looking better.
Got it. So doing it for self is definitely a big part of someone's success, for whether it's personal weight loss or mental clarity, mental health, whatever. What would you say to someone practically, if you had to lose 100 pounds again tomorrow, what would be the steps for you? What would be the most important part?
Yeah. So I think people overcomplicate the weight loss process. There's the law of thermodynamics, which basically, a lot of people talk about calories in versus calories out. Mm-hmm. People want to do all these fancy diets, keto, intermittent fasting, paleo. Like, I've done them all. I've gotten the t-shirt. I even went to Weight Watchers when I was younger with like my grandmother. Like, I know all of these things. It all comes down to the amount of energy you're consuming and the amount of energy you're expending every single day, which is calorie. A calorie is a unit of measurement, or is a unit or measurement of energy.
Yeah.
And so in order to lose weight, very simply, you have to consume less calories than you actually expend on any particular day. You got to be in what's called a calorie deficit. And so the easiest thing that someone right now could do to ensure that they're going to lose weight, let's say in the new year, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions in a moment, I know, because we have that on our list. Let's say your New Year's resolution is to lose weight. What you want to do is you want to figure out what your total daily expenditure is. And you can type that in Google, my total daily expenditure calculator. You put in your information, your height, your weight, you leave it at sedentary, and it'll tell you just by living at your current weight, your current height, your current age, just by living on a day-to-day basis, how many calories do you burn in a day? So for me, let's say it's 3,000 calories, which is high because I'm a big dude, I'm 6'5", right? If I want to lose weight, I have to eat less than 3,000 calories a day, okay? So that's where you start first. You got to be in a calorie deficit, but how much of a deficit do you want to be in? Well, a pound of fat has 3,500 calories to it, right? So if you want to lose 1 pound of fat a week, you have to eat 3,500 less calories in that week, or 500 less calories a day. So if I wanted to lose a pound a week in 2025, what I would do is I would take my total daily expenditure, which is 3,000. I'd subtract 500 from that. And now I know that if I eat 2,500 calories a day, every single day for a year, I'll lose a pound a week, or 52 pounds in that year.
Wow.
Right? Now, this also comes, now you have to track. Now you got to use something like MyFitnessPal, which is a great app because you can now go in the app and you can search any food item wherever you are, get an idea of the size and quantity, or if it's something that you bought out at the grocery store, you can even scan the barcode and it'll tell you how many calories are in that. And so as long as you stay under your total daily expenditure, you will continue to lose weight, regardless of what you eat. Now, the better you eat, the healthier you eat, that'll affect insulin levels and hormones and things like that, make it easier. But you could eat, once again, if I ate 2,500 calories of McDonald's a day, if my daily expenditure is 3,000, I'll still lose weight. I might feel like shit, but I'll continue to lose weight. And that's actually how I did it originally. So when I first lost it was 82 pounds in 6 months. It was by eating anything. I'd go to McDonald's, I'd get fries, I'd have a piece of cake, but I felt like shit because at the end of the day, I'd realize, I already got to my limit of calories for the day. And I feel like crap because that food's not fulfilling. It's processed. It doesn't leave me feeling satiated. I'm still really hungry. And so naturally, my food selection got healthier over those months. But the catalyst to actually sticking to that tracking and to that calorie deficit was, of course, doing hypnosis. Because I knew all of this stuff. I was a weight loss expert all those years I was fat, right? Because I had tried all the diets. I did all the research. And so I knew more about some of the healthiest people I knew about weight loss, even though my body wasn't a reflection of it. So what hypnosis did is it allowed me to just do the shit I told myself to do. And so that's what I always tell people. When people come to me, whether it's to, grow their business and to get over fear of putting themselves out there or whatever it may be, I simply just have to hypnotize someone to do the shit they already know they have to do. It's not necessarily to teach you new strategy. I can do that. I can help you with the strategy, but chances are people know the simple steps they need to take to actually lose the weight, to, find someone, a relationship, or to grow their business.
So it's like awareness and action. That's it. That's it. And you can do anything. No, I mean, it's simple.
It's not easy. It's not always easy.
It's not easy because your day-to-day life, puts constant pressures and challenges and problems on you.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you just always do what you say you're going to do, you can do anything. Because by just doing what you say you're going to do, and you are doing better than 99% of the people. So that's why you have to just, like, let's say, listen, New Year's resolution shouldn't be on New Year's. It should be every 3 months. You should have a new set of resolutions for yourself, because like we said, we're always creating, we're always evolving, we're always updating our iOS system, as you say. So, putting the pressure on yourself during like a New Year's resolution time, like leading up to the new year, like, hey, I'm going to do this, especially after I have my holiday season where I'm eating poorly. Now I'm going to just tell myself I'm going to eat better. That definitely doesn't, that doesn't spawn as much success as I think people would hope for. But over
80% of people do not stick with their New Year's resolutions, and it's because they're trying to change what they're doing without changing their unconscious programs. Right? They've gone the past decade, opting for that second piece of cake or that fourth slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And they've put in 1 million repetitions of that. And now all of a sudden on January 1, they're going to be like, I'm just going to stop doing that thing I've been doing for 10 years without changing anything neurologically or my programming or my beliefs around my food or body or, nutrition, and so that's where hypnosis comes in is, if you want to stick to something, you got to change at an unconscious level. This is why, like, when we're driving from, point A to point B and the light turns red, we don't have to consciously tell ourselves to put our foot on the brake. We just do it because we put in the reps, right? And it's taken that process that we had to learn consciously and has automated it unconsciously. So that foot to the brake analogy is the same as second slice of cake to the mouth, right? You're just doing it unconsciously. That extra food that you're eating, it's unconscious. When you emotionally eat, it's unconscious. When you procrastinate and don't go to the gym, it's unconscious. You think you have a conscious decision in it, and you do to some extent, but this is why willpower never works. Because you tell yourself to do one thing consciously, but your unconscious mind is like, nope, we learned another pattern. We learned another program that we're actually going to execute on. And the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind will always win.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let them know where they can get the New Year's resolution hypnosis video and, put a
yeah. So one of the things we're doing with the MINDMOD hypnosis app that we just launched this year is we're going to be doubling, if not tripling, the amount of hypnosis audios on there. So there's audios, on success, on weight loss, on sleeping better, on anxiety and stress relief. It's all on there. So basically my whole goal with the MINDMOD app has been to take what I do with one-on-one clients, with the celebrities and, the actors, the professional athletes, all those top performers that I've worked with. And I've taken those same techniques and processes and I've put them in pre-recorded audios for specific issues. And that's inside the app. So you can just plug me into your ears for, 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. And you will literally start to reprogram your unconscious mind so that your unconscious programs are now aligned with your conscious goals and desires. And now you just start doing the stuff you've been telling yourself to do.
And I'm telling you, man, listening to your hypnosis trainings and just being able to create content with you consistently has literally it doubled, if not tripled, our business revenue here at Q29 in the content creation space. So I would definitely urge people to check it out and go on the MINDMOD app. So yeah, cool, for the new year. Do it up.
New year, new you. If you love that video and you want to see more content on how to upgrade your mindset, make sure you hit that subscribe button and watch the next video.